Hello everybody and welcome to today's intelligence briefing. My name is James Green. I'm the Content Director at Janes, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you again to another one of our weekly intelligence briefings. Today we're looking at covering instability and arms competition in South Asia, and I'm delighted to say that we have two of our Asia experts delivering today's briefing and available to take your questions at the end. First of all, Karen Natasha Taru, who is the South Asia analyst with our military capabilities team, and she's joined by John Cravat, who heads our Asian industry desk. So today's briefing comes at a time when India and Pakistan, obviously two of the biggest countries in South Asia, and who have been historically either in a state of war or uneasy peace, are raising tensions between themselves once again. So we'll take a look at current military capabilities of both the countries, which will be led by Karen, and also looking at future procurement scenarios, which will be led by John. I will now hand over to Karen and John to present the briefing. Over to you, Karen.
In the large geographical landmass, often referred to as the Indian subcontinent, almost all countries connected through land borders face similar internal security problems. Terrorism, Islamic extremism, insurgency, separatist movements, and left-wing extremism are problems that have plagued Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and Nepal for several decades now. India and Pakistan have both accused the other of inciting violence and terrorism within its territory. In a significant assertion of India's claims, the United States very recently named Hizbul Mujahideen chief Syed Salahuddin a global terrorist. He threatened to turn Kashmir into a graveyard of the armed forces after the killing of Burhan Wani, a very noted young commander of the HM, by the Indian Army last year. This map, taken from Jane's Terrorism and Insurgency Center module, shows a trend of counter-terrorism operations, non-state group attacks, and actions such as riots and protests from August 2015 to July 2007. As you can see here, attacks in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh are more or less spread out in the entire country. However, for India, there's a clear demarcation of terrorism and insurgency-inflicted regions, which are the Northeast and Eastern Belt, better known as the Red Corridor, which face incessant attacks by left-wing extremists and separatist groups. In 2014, during the election campaign, the BJP's manifesto focused internal and external security, promising to deal with cross-border terrorism with a firm hand. Proposals for increasing border security infrastructure, however, were given importance only after the Pathankot attack, where a few terrorists crossed the border and infiltrated the Air Force base on New Year's Eve 2016. The incident brought forward harsh criticisms for India's existing security infrastructure, questioning the armed forces' ability to secure critical infrastructure like its own bases. According to Jane's Terrorism and Insurgency data, there has been a very steep increase in riots in 2016 as compared to all the other years. In a nuclear-capable, volatile South Asia, only a low-intensity conflict seems likely rather than a full-fledged conventional war. India has not been able to achieve the optimum sanction level of 42 squadrons yet. Right now, it currently functions at a 32 squadron strength, with close to 14 squadrons set to retire by 2020. So effectively, we could count it as 25 squadrons. Pakistan believes that covert action and inshore mine laying, which includes airdrop mines, would deny access to its sea lines of communication, and that the Indian Navy's main objective, possibly prior to or during a conflict, would be to blockade Pakistan's fleet. As a result, national intelligence gathering, maritime strike, and mine countermeasures are of prime importance to the Pakistan Navy.
So yes, in today's briefing, I'll look at a range of modernization and competition issues in Pakistan and India, and that will include a look at defense spending, future military requirements, and some of the challenges that the two countries will face over the coming decade. So a good place to start, I think, is a look at the respective economies of the two countries and how that might shape defence spending in the future. And I should say also that the graphs that you'll see over the next few slides are all sourced from Jane's defence budgets. So looking at the economies first here, the two countries, and we have Pakistan in green and India in grey on this slide. The first thing to note here, I think, is that the relative sizes of the two economies means that defence spending parity will never occur. India's economy is simply far bigger than Pakistan's. To put that into scope, the Indian economy was 5 times larger than Pakistan's around a decade ago, and as of 2017, it's almost 8 times the size, and it's growing at a faster rate. According to Jane's analysis, India's GDP growth is expected to average around 7% a year over the next decade, while Pakistan's will grow at around 5% over the same period. Therefore, the disparity between the two countries' economies will continue to expand. Spending on procurement and R&D is expected to grow at more than 8% a year over the next few years, with these two expenditures reaching around $16 billion by 2020. But this increasing procurement budget does represent something of a challenge for the Indian MOD. Over many years, the MOD has not been able to spend its full amount due to reasons such as cancelled contracts and excessive bureaucracy. Since 2012, this underspend has averaged around 12% of the total procurement budget. But we expect this underspend to be reduced in the next few years as India's fiscal constraints ease, and this should result in more funds being available for procurement. Pakistan's defence budget has fallen as a proportion of GDP over the past decade, a reflection, I think, of the many funding priorities facing the government. In 2005, defence spending amounted to 5% of GDP, but this has dropped now in 2017 to 3.5%. And in 2017, Pakistan allocated about $11 billion on defence, including around $2.5 billion for procurement. So over the coming decade, Pakistan is positioned to acquire a wide range of air capabilities to support persistent surveillance and air combat with an eye on dealing with internal insurgency and any threat from India. These requirements are highlighted by Pakistan's recent order of Saab 2000 aircraft and its Area-I radar. And in air combat, Pakistan has a requirement for several hundred JF-17s. It currently operates around 100. Above this, Pakistan has recently confirmed an intention to acquire a 5th-generation combat aircraft, and this will probably be the Shenyang FC-31 currently being developed by China. India's commitment to secure its maritime domain will also include major investment in future submarines to augment the new Scorpion class, as well as a range of ASW systems and platforms, including new helicopters and patrol ships. Notwithstanding fiscal constraints, both countries face challenges in ensuring supplies to their militaries from local defence industrial bases. Both countries are implementing reforms to boost local capability, mainly through offset and industrial collaboration strategies, and there have been some successes in both countries. But capability advancement has been slow, and strong reliance on foreign technologies in both countries will remain for the foreseeable future.
You can see our next briefing there, developments in active protection system technologies, which is next week on the 20th. We've got other future webinars announced on the website, so please look out for those and register for any that you would like to. So with that, my many thanks to Karen and John once again, and thank you for listening. Goodbye.